Hello, everybody. My name is Jimmy Smith, and welcome to my Wine with Jimmy channel. Thanks so much for stopping by. So, we are an educational channel here that looks at all things around WSET to give you the information and give you confidence really when you go into your examinations. So, on this section, we are looking at Italy for the WSET Level 3 certificate. And this is Northern Italy. So Italy is split into 3 areas, and this is the north, and this is focusing on climate and grape growing. As always, if you have any comments or questions or concerns, please do get in touch by visiting the Wine with Jimmy channel. That's www.winewithjimmy.com, where you'll find the wonderful and fantastic e-learning portal, which is one of the most important clicks of your life. Please click over to there and you'll find the portal. And if you subscribe, you'll have access to an even bigger amount of videos and recordings, session plans, revision sessions, flashcards, short written answer questions, multiple choice questions. There are plenty and plenty to help you with your studies. Just a little bit about me. I am the owner of a multiple amount of wine schools and wine bars here in the United Kingdom, and I do hold the much coveted WSET Educator of the Year award back in 2018. So please get in touch via social media if you want as well. You'll find at the bottom of every slide, or you can comment, of course, at the bottom of this video on YouTube. And you must click subscribe as well, because you don't want to miss any of the updates that we have every week. 2 updates a week on YouTube. Okay, so there is the wonderful Alto Adige vineyards right in the north of Italy. And that's where we're looking at today, the north of Italy. So remember, as I mentioned, Italy is separated into 3 parts in your textbooks because it's such a complex area. So it is northern Italy, central Italy, and southern Italy. And we're going to be looking just at the starting point of the north of Italy on this presentation. Northern Italy produces a wide range of wine styles, from the full-bodied tannic rustic reds of Barolo in Piemonte to the delicate and delicious wines of Soave, and everything in between. All of this diversity is possible due to the wonderful diverse geography that this area has, including great different amounts of geology, topography, and of course everything to do with climate and weather. And there's also an incredible number of grape varieties here, unique, weird, and wonderful grape varieties. Some of them you will know quite well, but others are very indigenous and very unusual. So let's have a look at the location first of all. So the vineyards of northern Italy, and this is the northern Italian section here, the vineyards are located in the foothills of the Alps. So I've identified very vaguely here the Alps for you on this map. Okay, so it's really sort of the border, the natural border between France and Switzerland and Austria and a bit of Slovenia as well. That barrier extends along the whole north, and key for us because the vineyards are found often all in this area. Let me just scribble this in. I'll scribble it in. Let's do it in red on this map. So, you know, I like to do this, but all in these kind of areas. Down here as well, all in this kind of bit. And of course, there's lots down here as well, but they're all nestled down here in the foothills of the Alps and on the basin, the river basin, because they're protected from any of the west winds that we may find coming across from Europe. So these west winds are buffered, they are stopped by the Alps, and that's what makes this a very viable viticultural area. So let's have a look at the other bits here as well. As I just mentioned, there's also the Po River Basin. And the Po starts its life up in the Alps and then meanders its way all the way to the Adriatic Sea. It's actually Italy's largest river, and many, many other rivers will empty into the Po River. And in fact, as you go up here into Lombardia and up in towards Piemonte, the Po is where a lot of rice fields are found. And that's, of course, where you'll get a lot of things like arborio rice, which is important. Many of the key dishes, of course, in northern Italy are risotto based, like risotto milanese, which is a gorgeous Milan risotto with saffron, for example. So the Po River, as well as many other rivers and lakes, and I've identified this one here, which is Lake Garda, which is Italy's largest lake, but there's also Lake Iseo, Lake Maggiore, Lake Como as well. All of these lakes, plus these rivers, will have a moderating influence to these inland areas. So they moderate them from being too extreme for the most part. But generally speaking, the climate here is a moderate continental climate. Of course, that changes when you go maybe towards really sort of the Emilia-Romagna area in the south, where it might get a little bit warmer. And of course, it gets cooler as you go into the Alps, into places like Alto Adige, for example. But broadly speaking, we are talking about a moderate continental climate. So moderate, remember, what you do need to know is what the range of temperature would be, the average temperature during the growth season in a moderate climate. So let's put that in. So it says it here, moderate, and the range is going to be, so below 16.5 degrees Celsius would be cool. So we are looking at 16.5 to 18.5 Celsius. That's the kind of range for a moderate climate. Continental means that the area has high continentality, so differences between seasons are quite extreme, slightly moderated by the rivers and lakes here, but also then a large diurnal difference in this area as well. This specific area has quite dry and short summers in the north of Italy. Areas that are closer to the sea, such as Veneto and parts of Friuli, Venezia Giulia, so all this part here on the Adriatic, for example, they can have higher levels of rainfall. So the rainfall, of course, can affect these zones. Let's have a look. So you'll get rainfall on the vineyards around here. And this can, of course, lead to things like problems with disease, like fungal rots and molds, things like mildew, for example. The viticultural grape growing techniques here have to adapt around that. And that's what we'll look at to next. So here we are on the next slide is some grape growing techniques. This is called pergola. And in fact, this variety is from Trentino. It's called pergola Trentina. So it's from the kind of central north of Italy. You just need to know pergola for the level 3 certificate. So the complex trellising system here, pergola, is where you have quite highly trained vines. So they're often standing somewhere between 1.5 meters up to about 3 meters, but can be bigger than that. And they have like a little roof to them, like a canopy. It can be inclined like this, which is like at a gradient, or horizontally flat. And this is important because it does really two things, which we're going to talk about. So this is really the traditional way of planting, which has high-yielding vines at quite low densities, because they're of course spread out quite a bit, these vines. So there's another system here. This is actually the pergola veronese. This is from Veneto, this system. So the vine canopy is trained high. The fruit then will be at the bottom of the canopy, and that is therefore protected. So if we have a look at the next slide, there you go, that gives you a better idea. The two principal advantages here is that the grapes will be protected from sunburn, And in areas like northern Italy, you do have, certainly going into places like Veneto, Trentino, Alto Adige, you have a lot of sunlight available as you head more to the more higher latitudes, those longer summer days, for example. So sunburn and heat can be a bit of an issue. So having a thick, dense canopy above where the grapes are hanging, of course, creates a shading effect, therefore protecting the grapes from sunburn. So that's one very key thing in a very sunny, luminous area. It also allows for better air circulation. So this means, of course, that the air can easily whip up through here, and it really means that it can chase away things like humidity, and that decreases the risk of rot and mildew. Of course, very important in areas which are closer to the seas, things like Veneto, for instance, places like Friuli, Venezia, Giulia as well. So think of places around Venice and Verona, for example. So much better air circulation. Pergolas are also still used in areas where you need high acidity and low sugar levels. So, for example, for sparkling wine production, and also for when wines are to be made from dried grapes. So, your passito type wines, which need to be free from damage and disease, because that can cause a lot of problems with the overall wine. And of course, the last thing to note here is, yes, pergola is the traditional system, but of course, with the influence of modernity, there also is what we call vertical shoot positioning as well. And the type of vertical shoot positioning we're looking at here is the Guillot system. So let me put that in brackets up here. That's the replacement cane system in English, or Guillot in French. So this is becoming more common because these are more accessible vineyards, much more sort of monocultural vineyards, where you can access them easier as a person and by tractor and machine as well. So this makes pruning and harvesting much easier. So in areas that are a bit warmer, you will find, and a bit drier, you'll find this is becoming a bit more common due to the ease of managing these vineyards. Okay, so that brings me to a conclusion of the starting point of northern Italy. We will start to look at all the key areas after this, and the next video will focus upon Alto Adige, Trentino, and Friuli, Venezia, Giulia. That video will only be available on my e-learning portal. That's www.winewithjimmy.com. It's a great place for you to sign up to help you with your studies. You will not regret it. I trust me, please. So thank you so much for your time. Please, if you do have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can get in touch via commenting below on this YouTube video, or getting in touch via the social media that you see at the bottom of every slide, or direct by the Wine with Jimmy website at the e-learning portal. As many of you know, I own wine bars and schools here in the United Kingdom. So please, if you are here, come to London and come and see me for a class, a glass, or a bottle. I've been Jimmy Smith. Thank you so much.